James heard his son, Liam, screaming from the attic, and without hesitation, ran upstairs. No one had been in the attic for a while. James went upstairs to see what was in the attic closet. When he reached the top of the stairs, James turned pale. This was no ordinary nest. It was much more serious than he thought. James was more focused on his son, Liam, who was panicking about what was happening here. Now, how would they get through this? James heard his son, Liam, screaming from the attic, and without hesitation, ran upstairs. No one had been in the attic for a while. James went upstairs to see what was in the attic closet. When he got to the top of the stairs, James went pale. This was no ordinary nest. It was a lot more serious than he thought. James was more focused on his son, Liam, who was panicking at what was happening here. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and click the notification bell for more amazing stories. Liam was still frightened because James hadn't been able to calm him down completely. Crying, Liam pointed to the closet where he'd found the nest. The previous owner had told him how often they'd struggled with wasps. But this nest was different. James had already noticed noises coming from the attic closet, including a strange sound like a car engine trying to start. Is this really a wasp nest? James wondered. James opened the closet. He turned pale at what he saw. It was a huge hornet's nest, and James froze to death. The sight of this huge nest frightened James. Liam claimed the hornets were guarding something in the huge nest. James was afraid to go near it, but from a distance he thought his son might be right. They were guarding something, but he didn't know what it was. James explained the situation to Mark, the pest control specialist, when he arrived. Mark laughed and said he was confident he could handle it on his own. He'd been in the pest control business for years and done this kind of job hundreds of times. As Mark was heading to the attic, he heard the sound of a wasp coming from the second floor. It wasn't usually that loud, but the sound alone wasn't enough to scare him. This confident man was transformed into a scared boy. What happened in the attic? Mark explained that this wasp nest was unlike any other. He had been in the pest control business for many years. Mark turned to James and said, "There's nothing I can do right now." James tried to convince Mark that he needed to get rid of the wasp nest immediately. "I hear the wasps buzzing when I'm sleeping." Mark claimed the hornets were guarding something, as James and his son Liam had already guessed. Mark had never seen such a big nest before, and they became aggressive when he got close, so it must be something big. What on earth could it be? James felt helpless. He knew something serious was going on, but couldn't believe what the situation was in the attic. He decided to barricade the attic to stop the hornets from getting downstairs. Finally, the hornets made their way downstairs. James needed to act now. He couldn't wait until winter. James contacted other pest control companies, but each time they told him there was nothing they could do except wait until winter. James knew he needed to take precautions to avoid getting hurt when he got into the attic. He went to the store and bought whatever he could find to protect himself from the aggressive hornets. He felt this was necessary. His wife, Emma, didn't think it was a good idea to go back into the attic, and James knew that, but the wasp nest had made the house very uninhabitable. He had to do something. James ignored his wife and went upstairs to try to remove the barricade in the attic. He had been reinforcing it every day for the past few days to stop the wasps from coming downstairs. James slowly climbed into the attic. He felt adrenaline pumping through his veins as he slowly approached the nest. He wanted to grab the nest and throw it out the window. He was so close to the hornets, but he looked up and saw Emma's worried look. "We'll have to try again," James said. Emma called Liam over, and they lifted him onto the sofa. After a few minutes, he woke up and asked, "What happened?" "Don't you remember?" Emma asked. "I was trying to remove a hornet's nest, and they attacked me." James looked at Emma in disbelief. He tried to remember, but he couldn't. He had a concussion, and his memories were all over the place. Liam looked at his father. He knew he wouldn't be able to get up to the attic anytime soon, so he decided he'd have to do something himself. He had to think of a plan. Obviously, his father's plan hadn't worked, so he needed a plan. He could use his father's suit, but nothing else. He thought maybe he could use the same smoke on the hornets. To get to the nest, he had to smoke them out. It was the only way he could get a good view of the nest without getting stung. Adrenaline was running through Liam's body. He'd never been in such danger before. "I can explain, Dad," Liam said. "Don't worry, son. You can do it. You look like you've got a smoker, so you're probably smarter than me." James laughed and went back to bed. "Okay, Liam, you can do it," he muttered as he took his first step up the stairs. The buzzing of the wasps got quieter and quieter, and the wasps became quieter. The attic was filling with smoke. Liam took a few steps forward. His confidence returned, and he thought he knew exactly what to do. The hornets weren't dead. He could see a few of them moving. They were just unconscious. Liam slowly walked towards the nest. When the smoke cleared, Liam could finally see the nest in its entirety. He stood there for a while, taking in everything. He understood why no one tried to help. This was no ordinary hornet's nest. It was much bigger. The nest was the size of a car tire. Liam couldn't believe his eyes. He'd never seen anything like it before. It was so beautiful. There were so many little holes and tunnels. The closer he got to the center of the nest, the more hornets there were. The smoke had almost cleared from the window, and the hornets had woken up again. He poked at the nest and saw something. A hornet. Flying. Oh no, Liam thought. Liam looked back and feared for his life. All the hornets were awake and flying around like crazy. Liam fell to the ground and found the smoker on the other side of the room. He was almost there when he jumped on it and grabbed it just in time. He then closed the window and started using the smoker. It took a few minutes, but the hornets were quiet again. This time, he approached the nest with the smoker. The smoke was blurring his vision, but Liam felt he had to finish what he started. Without hesitation, he opened the window and grabbed the nest, throwing it out the window before the wasps could sting him again. He heard the nest shatter on the ground. Liam left the window open and went outside. Emma couldn't believe Liam had done this without her permission. She started to yell at Liam and her husband, but suddenly stopped. "What's that?" Emma said, pointing at the nest when she noticed something protruding in the middle. James pushed part of the nest away from it and went pale when he realized what he was looking at. Liam crouched down next to his father to get a closer look at the object, but his father pushed him away. "Come in," James said. Liam looked at his father and frowned. "What's the matter, Dad?" "You're definitely hiding something, Dad," Liam said. "You don't want everyone to see, Dad." Why was he suddenly so annoyed? "You're clearly hiding something," he told his mother. His mother nodded and looked over her shoulder. She had never seen James act like this before. This whole wasp situation was overwhelming him. She opened the door a crack and peeked in to see James pick up the object, and she couldn't believe her eyes. "You bastard!" Emma slammed the door open and ran to her husband. "James, how could you do this to me? How could you lie to me?" she shouted at her husband, snatching the object from his hands. "I told you to get rid of this doll years ago." Emma was still shouting. James snatched the doll back from Emma's hands. "Watch out, Emma. Watch out." James looked next to him. James walked to his car and put it on the passenger seat. He went inside to get some old towels and started the engine. Why did he keep it, knowing his wife would not like it? James looked next door. But James did not believe her and put the doll away in the attic. But it was finally time to say goodbye. So, James wrapped the doll in a towel and threw it away. Binding bonds through beautiful tales. Thank you for watching.